Yeah. Welcome, everybody, with another edition of Outside Looking In. My name is Bruce Negger. We're talking about the issues that emanate from Montgomery County and beyond. Told you I was going to do this podcast pretty regularly. I got up on the soapbox, said, hey, I'm going to do this more. The people need to hear me. They need to hear everything I'm talking about. Guess what? I guess it's been 3 weeks or so. Things are just getting away. School started, and that's a big problem for me because I got to get up at 6 a.m. What? Where? Come on, man. 6 a.m.? Who's getting up at 6 a.m. unless you're going to work out? But I got to get up 6 a.m., get my kids up, get breakfast going. My wife is helping out, so I don't want to pretend like it's all me. But we got to take them to some magnet school. We got to drive 11 miles away here. I got to get the other kid to high school, whose high school starts at 7:30. It's just crazy. When I had a job, people don't even want to go to work right now. They don't want to commute. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to show up at a job at 9 a.m., but my kid's got to be at school at 7:30. What? Talk about, well, maybe this is good. Maybe the new youth movement will actually displace this lazy-ass generation, whatever's non-working. Oh, it's too far to commute. I don't want to go into the office, but I will go out to every restaurant possible. I will go out to the movies. I will go out to pack the bars. Come on. Both ways. And, I'm not one of these to really wave a flag for going back into work and going back into the office, but it's important. It's necessary. The idea generation, just people being around people, right? Just equate it to this. If you want to equate it to something, equate it to this, going back into the office. Is it more fun to watch a baseball game or a ball game on your couch or to be at Michigan Stadium with 100,000 other people yelling and screaming for your team? Well, that's a bad example because we all hate Michigan. Isn't that right? That's right. But it's more, you want to be part because there's more energy. There's more feeling. That's the best equation that I can give you. That's the best comparison that I can give you. Being in the office, you might not like Bob, but you don't like that guy who's sitting in front of you anyway because the way it looks, because of Twitter, and I believe this, because of Twitter, we have been desensitized to fighting. Everybody's now watching fighting videos on their phone. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see senseless violence. Ever since 9/11, guess what? It only took 21 years for that to disappear. We'll see what happens. I mean, no one's mentioned it. No one's even talked about it. None of the New York radios. Nobody's saying anything about it around here. But, it took 21 years for that to say, okay, you had your 20th anniversary. That's enough. That's enough. And I'm not saying that it has to be in your daily conscience all the time, but it has to be remembered. It's still fresh. It's still new. But anyway, what I'm saying here is on Twitter, people are so desensitized to fighting that everybody wants to see fight videos. Oh, it's cool. Let's look. The New York Post on their digital editions put in, there was a fight at the Ranger game. There was a fight at the LA Rams game, and LaShawn McCoy is laughing at him. It's not cool. Fighting at the sporting events, it's not cool. I don't want to go to a sporting event now if you're going to fight. Because you might have that one guy in the office that you want to fight, but are you going to do it? No, because there are repercussions. You can't run away. You're going to get fired. So there's good and bad about to everything, right? There's good and bad to everything. You want to be one of those 90,000 people at the football stadium. Can't wait for football. Going to tailgate. Going to do everything. But I'm not getting on a train. I'm not commuting. I don't want to. You will drive for an hour and a half to go to a football game, and then sit in a parking lot for 3 hours, 4 hours trying to get out of a parking lot, or go to Burning Man, right? Burning Man for 8 hours and sit in traffic trying to get home, but you will not commute to the office on a daily. There's something wrong with that. There is something wrong with that. You want everything. Everybody wants all the riches. No one wants to work for it. That's not how I started this program. That's not how I was even thinking about starting this program. But there are a lot of things that you, from the outside looking in, and this is the reason why I call the podcast that, because I sit on the outside and I look in and to see the trends and what's going on, because sometimes you just have to have a wide scope of it. You have to be on the outside of it to understand what's going on the inside. Fights at football games or fights at any kind of sporting event, fights in the streets, people playing knockout, running up behind you, punching you in the head, pushing you off a subway train. Ha, 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 ha. It's all really funny. Right? And then you go to a DA, well, he's a juvenile, or he doesn't have a record before, but he pushed somebody in front of a train or smacked them from behind in their head and knocked them out and broke their jaw. Oh, let him out. No bail, no nothing. Let him out. It's okay. It's okay. Because you know what's happened now? We don't have a moral compass anymore. There is no moral compass in our lives. It's not television. It's not the Kardashians. I'll tell you that. It's not anything on television, not Love Island or anything that MTV or VH1 or whoever plays. American Idol, that's the closest thing. Oh, we feel really bad that you lost. I mean, that's the closest thing to somebody actually being empathetic or sympathetic to somebody and saying, you know, trying to be nice to them even though they lost and saying, you suck, get out of here. But there's no moral compass, nothing to base what is right and wrong. And I'm not going to get on a religious bandwagon here, but I started going back to church, you know, because that's me. I wanted to go back to church. I felt like I needed it. I wanted it. And I'll tell you, I've been out of Catholic church so long, the mass changed. I don't even know what to say anymore. It might as well have been in Latin. But really, I mean, all the responses changed. And I've been going long enough that I know. But when I first went back, I was like, holy smokes. Because my wife is an Episcopalian, so I was going to Episcopalian church for a while. So I didn't, but I've been going back to Roman Catholic. But anyway, the point being, it's not about who or what sect or whatever. You could be Jewish, Islamic, Muslim, Catholic, whatever. But religion was a guidepost. But now, the only thing that religion serves people is to be bashing it and to be referenced to point out hypocrisy. That's what everybody wants to use religion for now. They don't want to use it as a moral guidepost. What's right and what's wrong? What would this guy do? What is the right thing to do here? And I'm not talking about abortion, and I'm not talking about major issues. You know, I believe in the dinosaurs, not Adam and Eve. I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand there's scientific evidence about certain things too, empirical evidence. I believe I'm a cultured person. I believe I'm an educated man. But, you know, I mean, back when, you know, they were stories. But not everything's a story because not every story lasts 2,000-3,000 years. But that's off the subject. The point is whatever it is, whether it's religion and or whatever, where are the moral guideposts anymore? Nobody has them. No one knows what's right and wrong. No one knows to be kind to each other. No one knows that you shouldn't punch somebody at a sporting event. You can get mad. You can get really mad. But that's the reaction now. Everybody gets mad. Nobody thinks about the consequences. Nobody thinks about their reactions. It's all reaction. It's all, I'm going to just do this. I lost my mind. It's okay to fight. Yeah, I whooped his ass. Yeah, yeah. And then you got guys who don't even know how to fight, rolling around on the ground, but they'll still go at it. And the problem now, this is the biggest problem that I see, is that when you get beat, the guy who gets beat or who loses, you know, everybody comes in and breaks it up. I'd be like, thank you. If I was the guy that was losing, I'd be like, thank you, man. Thank you. I took 3 punches to the head. That hurt. But now, you know, everybody breaks it up. So this guy who's down on the ground, who absolutely lost the fight, gets up, starts walking around, and then rushes the guy who let him up. So now you can't let someone up because you know they're coming back at you. Because you don't understand. Nobody understands anymore. Just shake hands, walk away. Don't even shake hands. Just walk away. It doesn't have to be a fair fight. It doesn't have to be that kind of thing. Oh, good job, good job. I don't even like that. You know, if you're mad at someone, you just got to walk away. But this thing about religion, it really bothers me. I go on Facebook, I go on whatever I'm looking at, you know, and people just use religion to criticize the religion and to point out the hypocrisy instead of trying to find the good in it. Oh, for thousands of years, it's the opiate of the masses. The priests have been bad with the kids. Yes, they have. Yes. Yes. But who are the priests? They're supposed to be God's representatives on earth, right? Yes, they are. The Holy Father, right? But they're men. They're men. The problem is that the church doesn't take care of it, doesn't, ignores the problem instead of trying to fix it. So, I mean, I'm going down a slippery slope here. But the point being is that religion was a guidepost. Good versus evil. Understanding what good was and what evil was. But now, I don't need religion. You know, Washington Post talking about Satanism on its front page a couple months ago. Do we really need to bring up Satanism? Do we really need to? I mean, atheist is good enough for me. You want to be an atheist? That's good enough for me. But it's about like organized religion. Oh, I don't want to be part of organized religion. I'm off in my own corner doing what I have my relationship with God. No, it's because you don't want to get up on Sunday. You don't want to go to the mosque 7 days a week and pray 3 times a day or 5 times a day. That's why you have your own personal relationship, because it's too difficult. It's too hard. It's too hard to go to work. It's too hard to go to church or a religious institution. It's too hard. It's too much. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. People do, say, think, and act however they want because there's nothing to guide it with. No more guiding. Another thing that I was looking around, talking about privilege, right? Everybody's got privilege. Oh, your privilege and this privilege and that privilege. But there are different kinds of privileges. There's all kinds of forms of it. First of all, let's stop and not let's talk about athletic privilege. And I'm not talking about in high school or anything of that sort, but just even on a upper level. These guys can get away with whatever they want as long as they're a good athlete. It doesn't matter. He beat his wife. He stole something from somebody. He's a good athlete. We need him because he makes us money. So the money privilege, and that's the other one. It's money. Money is a privilege. Money can buy you out of things. But it just cascades down the line. You know, privilege. Look around. Instead of just claiming one person has privilege, see how privilege goes all above and around. You know, read the sports pages. Read about the guy who got off because of, he had money or something to that effect. Privilege goes all around. That's another thing we have to put in check, or should put in check somehow. Just because a guy can run a football or a guy has a lot of money, screw them. All right? Where's their moral compass? Just because they can make you money doesn't mean that you should put your eggs in their basket or root for them or do anything of that sort. Right? It's okay. I don't want my kids rooting for someone who smacks up a woman or does something like that. I don't care. I'm sorry, man. You can hit a baseball, but outside of that, you're a jerk. But it's okay, because he can hit a baseball. Really going down a road here. I guess it's a good thing I'm not hired by anybody, that this is a self-produced broadcast, because I'd probably get fired today. I'm not really sure why I'm even talking about this kind of stuff, but it's just things that got to me. You know, you read Facebook and you read social media and all of this kind of stuff, and it's so easy. Everybody's a nitpicker. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's the Lilliputians and somebody's Gulliver, and these issues are Gulliver, and they're just taken down by 1,000 different opinions that come out of nowhere. Oh, you know, and everybody's got some opinion about something. And and people don't even know what they're talking about anymore. Don't even know what they're talking about anymore. They want to so far put stuff on social media that they're out of context. There's an African American from Maryland, Talafo. I don't follow tennis. This is the only reason why I don't know him. But ESPN put out something on their website or on their Twitter feed or whatever, and it said, "History made. This guy's made the semifinals. The first African American since Arthur Ashe." How is that history? Arthur Ashe did it. It's not history. It's a fantastic, unbelievable accomplishment. Something that I won't even come close to in my life. And good for him. He's supposed to be a nice guy and a good guy. He's enjoying himself, and good for him. But we don't have to drum up drama. We don't have to make things up to make it interesting. Why can't the guy just be interesting on his own? Why can't we laud his accomplishments? He made history. He's the second African American. He's the second. Who's the second man to walk on the moon? Ask yourself that. We all know who the first one was. Buzz Lightyear. My man, Buzz Lightyear. You remember the Ollie G show with Sacha Baron Cohen? He was talking to all those people one time, and his Ollie G, I don't understand why anybody gave that guy the time of day. It was ridiculous. But he was talking to Buzz Aldrin, and he was talking to me. He's like, "My main man, Buzz Lightyear, walked on the moon." Oh, I thought it was funny. Space. Funny. But, you know, it shouldn't be a surprise right now, because we combine the Trump era of clouding the truth with the progressive era of not holding anyone or anything accountable for what you've done. You come up with certain things now. There was something that I heard on the radio, and my wife and I were flabbergasted. We were dumbfounded. We were stymied. The PSATs are coming up for our 10th graders, so I'm just trying to show all the words. Because stymied was a word on my SAT. Everyone came out. What's the antonym of stymie? Spanky. It was so stupid. So stupid. Yeah, right? I was much smarter as a youth than I am now. But anyway, with the mushing of the truth, that's Trump's greatest gift. Or the greatest evil, really. You know, I mean, the insurrection, terrible. But at least you could stop it. And you know who it was, and you got him on camera. You can put him away, trying to take down the Constitution and busting into the damn Congress and the Senate. You have them. You can stop that. But what's harder to stop is this clouding of the truth. Fake news. All of that kind of stuff. When the truth gets convoluted, you know, people start believing what they want to believe. And it doesn't help when corporate America chimes in. As I said before, my wife and I were listening to something, and they were talking about maybe it was Qantas. You know, for all the flights that were taken off the board or, you know, delayed or anything to that effect, delayed or canceled, they are no longer called canceled flights. They are called retimed flights. Retimed. Hey, when I'm supposed to leave on Tuesday and I can't get out till Thursday, that was canceled. Don't even lie to me about it. But it just makes everybody feel better, right? It's retimed. It's not canceled. Oh, they can't yell at us. We retimed it. You should have known. You should have gotten the email. But again, when I'm supposed to leave on Tuesday and I can't get out till Thursday, there's nothing that was retimed. It was delayed, and canceled. And that's the best thing. You know, my favorite thing right now is how everybody's yelling and screaming at the airline industry, especially during the summer. You know, they shouldn't, American especially, shouldn't have overbooked or pretended that they had more pilots than they did. But, you know, they thought they could get away with it. Maybe someone will show up to work. In this day and age, someone show up to work? But, I mean, they shouldn't have done that. But everybody, avant-garde, I can't believe I'm stuck at the airport. You and 100,000 other people. Why are you special that you get to complain about it? Go on Twitter. Oh, guess what? I'm stuck at the airport. Well, I'm out here eating dinner. I don't give a damn what you're doing. And should I? Because your flight to Bora Bora was canceled? Or, excuse me. Retimed? Not everybody needs to know what the hell is going on in your life. Because I'm telling you, man, I really don't care. Oh, Bruce, now you're Mr. Cynical. No, there's certain things I do care about, but some of this other stuff, it's like, oh, it's great. And then, you know, Pete Buttigieg yelling about it. Why? Dude, everybody was yelling about it before you got your damn thing canceled, retimed, rescheduled, whatever you want to call it, the retimed flight. And all of a sudden it happens to you, the transportation secretary, and now it's an issue? Take a walk. You should have walked before. Take a walk. And now, I know I mentioned this to you before about Montgomery County. They have something which I don't understand. I think it's one of the worst terms or titles of putting school back together. They call it restorative justice. Restorative justice. And you know what restorative justice is? Think about that for a second. Think about it. I'll give you some time. All right, that's enough time. Restorative justice. I thought it was going to be some social program or something to this, mislabeled. What they're talking about is that kids have to come to class, that kids can't be late anymore, that kids shouldn't be able to use their cell phones or will not be able to use their cell phones in class. That's restorative justice? In this day and age, you got to change the title. You got to change the way that works, because that was... You're asking for more trouble with that terminology than you were if you're just saying, hey, discipline. Because point being here is like we have retimed flights. If you're late or tardy or you're going to detention, you do not have detention at Quince Orchard High School anymore or in Montgomery County. You have reflective time. Reflective time. Help me. Now you know why I go back to church. Because I don't understand. I need something right there in front of me to say, Bruce, it's going to be okay. Reflective time. You got detention, man. Detention. Right on the board, I will not be late 100 times. But you can't do that. The kid has to sit in a room. I mean, it's detention. Everything that says you will be blocked in a room for after school or at lunch or whatever, and you'll have to read a book or do a lesson or something to that effect, that says detention. But we can't call it detention because it eats up the kids inside because, oh, I'm detained. Detained. Only people in jail are detained. Or no, they're incarcerated now. Or whatever you want to call it. Stop mushing all this stuff up. I mean, really, we wondered how 1984 happens, how Idiocracy happens, how any of this stuff happens. It's because people feed into it. They feed into it. They allow it to happen. Gender pronouns, changing of reflective time from detention, retimed flights from canceled or delayed flights. What is going on? Seriously, what is going on? If you have an answer, call me up. 646-250-WAH. Biden and Trump, right? So Biden runs to be the anti-Trump. Hey, friends. Brothers, Uncle Joe's here to help you. We're going to bring back America. We're going to restore it. We're going to bring it back, and we're all going to be a unit. We're all going to be happy together. So he has a speech and does the same damn thing that Trump does. Divides. I mean, what's the point? You're either with us or against us. That's what politics is now. Let's go. It's going to be like Kane from the Batman series fighting Batman. The police versus the bad guys. That's what it's like right now. There's no difference. Just put Kane's face with Trump and Biden's face with Batman and it'll be the same thing. How do you go out there and call out all of these people? And I'm sorry, maybe you should talk to them, Joe, instead of calling them out. Maybe people should start seeing what's going on in Western Maryland or in deeper Ohio or West Virginia instead of playing to your base in New York and Los Angeles and San Francisco. Why don't you try to be the healer? Why don't you try? You know, it's like Glenn Youngkin, the Virginia governor, Republican, first Republican in a while. It's history. But anyway, he goes out and he went to a town, Petersburg. I believe it's Petersburg. Forgive me on my facts, but Petersburg, Virginia, predominantly African-American town. And he goes in there and he goes, we're going to come in here. We're going to start pumping money. We're going to try to get this town back on its feet and get it going. And all the black leaders there, all the African-American leaders are like, awesome. 15, 20 years worth of Democrats, no one's even stepped foot in this town. This guy, if he comes through on half of what he said, if Youngkin comes through on half of what he said, he's going to have a statue erected of him there. Just to be torn down later, but he'll have a statue made. I mean, go to they said, okay, it's a political ploy. Guess what? If it is, it is. If he can help people as a political ploy, as a political play, not ploy, as a political play, then it works. Because this way, when he runs for a re-election again, he got trounced in that area. Trounced. So now that he's helping him out, maybe he'll only lose 70-30 instead of 90-10. And it's going to help him in the general election. So there is a political ploy or play, or however you want to put it, retimed flight in there. But it's a smart one. But at least he's connecting with the people of Virginia. Going around to different areas and talking to different people in different areas and seeing what's going on. Trying to make a cohesive state. Because if one falls, then the other falls. I mean, look at New York, right? If New York City goes down, the whole state goes down. What's going to carry New York if New York City goes down? But, let people run around up there. Let them, arrested 90 times, but never put in jail for longer than a year. What are you going to do? So, Joe, my advice to you is to go out, instead of calling out the deplorables, how about you go try to talk to them? Maybe bring a Definitely bring the Secret Service with you, but go and talk. See what the story is instead of just condemning, because that's all people want to do. Condemn, condemn, and condemn. I've read it on the news. I heard it here. I've heard what they said. I heard the rhetoric. Well, go and see. If you want to be the great healer, which you don't want to be, so stop lying to me, go do that. Go talk to the people who disagree with you. Maybe you'll win a convert. And now I'm living in the D.C. area. And Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, is putting the migrants coming over from Mexico because of the open border. He's putting them on buses, sending them to Chicago, flying them to New York. I like that. You know, my brother lived near Westchester County Airport, and it closes at 11, no more commercial flights. And then like at 11 or 12 or 1, we were outside coming home from something when I went to visit him, and you could hear the airplanes. And he goes, the migrant flights. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So what's happening in D.C.? Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., is she declared emergency. She asked the Pentagon for a National Guard to come out to help with this situation because there's 9,400 migrants inside D.C. right now. Do you think, I mean, these are real numbers based on whatever the homeless D.C. has or the people who already need social services? These are real numbers. Greg Abbott really stuck it to everybody. I mean, she's because she could declare an emergency, she's going to have $10 million at her disposal to open up an Office of Migrant Services. It's real. And now it's starting to hit people. You know, she's like, we're not a border town. We're not able to handle this. Well, how do you think the border towns are feeling? Joe, wake up. Wake up. This isn't about hating people or anything of that sort, but it's about controlling situations before you have a shit show. And that's the first time I ever cursed on this program, but that's the truth. And there is no other way to put it. Got 10,000 people you got to take care of. How does Muriel Bowser do that? How does she do it? They don't have the resources. And Greg Abbott, he's like, you know what? Out of my state, because I can't handle it either. You want to say, oh, you're not inhuman, you don't want to deal with this kind of stuff? Well, then you take care of it, right? They dropped them off on your porch. Everybody in these sanctuary cities and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying you have to be inhuman. Treat people with dignity, all of that kind of stuff. But it's a real problem when you have 10,000 mouths to feed. I mean, that's just math. Or new math. Or what was it? Common math or common? I can't even remember what the math they tried to pull here. And that got pulled away in 2 seconds. Just math is math. Stop trying to reinvent it. I mean, if it could work for Einstein and Schweitzer and all these other guys, how come it can't work for my kid as it was already laid out? But I mean, it's no joke. The migration problem, you got to do something about the border. 10,000 people in D.C., 9,400, all right? Oh, Bruce, you're giving wrong numbers. Oh, it's close enough. Tomorrow, come Monday, it'll be 10,000 people because the buses keep coming with 75 on them, so they'll be close enough. I want to welcome you to the Bruce Negrin Outside Looking In Power Hour, uplifting your spirits. Boy, I've just depressed myself. But anyway, let me close on this. I have a good friend named Chris Kempter, and he said something the other day that actually made me take out my phone and write it down. Type it, not write it, type it down. What did he say? He said the new generations of kids are growing up too fast, but not growing up at all. And I was like, boing. Such a statement. I mean, talk about encapsulating something. I mean, he really caught he caught it. That's right. They're growing up too fast, but they're not growing up at all. If you don't understand what that means or the significance of what was just said, then maybe you're not paying attention enough. That's what I'm thinking. Well, anyway, football starts on Sunday, September 11th. If you have a moment, just bow your head. Just remember that day. And just remember, be lucky and be thankful for what you have. Program's called Outside Looking In. My name is Bruce Negrin, and I do this whenever I feel like it. Okay, I'm not even going to lie to you anymore. I'm not going to mush the truth. When I have an opportunity to come down here and I have more than two things to say, that's when I come down here. But I do appreciate you listening. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Spreaker. What else? iHeart. All of that kind of stuff. All right. If like and subscribe, you don't even have to like. I told you, just subscribe. This way I don't have to send you those emails and telling me that you don't want it anymore and all that kind of stuff. But this is excellent stuff to walk your dog to. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Again, program's called Outside Looking In. My name is Bruce Negrin. Have a great weekend.